So this is probably an annoying question, but what's it like to beat Bobby Flay? How did that whole thing come together?
Hit me up and they were like, give us a signature dish. And I gave them a signature dish, which was my jalapeno dish. And they were like, nah, we already got that episode. What else do you have? So I was like, oh, I got this cornbread I do. And they were like, nah, I'm not feeling it. So I flipped the question because I could feel the opportunity kind of slipping.
Uh-huh.
So I flipped the question. I said, well, what episode do you want to film that you don't have a contestant for? He was like, "Ooh, that's a good question."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I really want to do barbecue with Bobby Flay, but it's hard to pull it off." And I was like, "Done." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I'll do it." And he's like, "How you gonna make barbecue in 45 minutes?" I said, "I don't know. I'll call you back tomorrow. I gotta go buy a pressure cooker."
For sure. Yeah.
Were you do you consider yourself a good barbecuer before this? Or are you just
Hell
a
yeah,
good
I'm a
chef?
dope ass cook. Beats
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, cook
Like,
everything. I'm not a
so
cook, so
I
yeah.
I went and bought a pork shoulder and went to my restaurant and like jacked around and figured out a couple ways to pull it off. And I wrote this pulled pork slider and I figured out I could pull it off in 45 minutes. And I called him up. I was like, I got it. Here's a recipe. Here's a picture. And he was like, all right, I'll see you in a few months. And I went out there and I had intentionally written the dish to be the same flavor profiles
As
as
Bobby.
Bob
Yep.
Out Southwest
Yep.
because I think even though it's a blind judge, he's so unique in his style, his food.
Yep.
So I
Oh,
intentionally
you
wanted to
clever
take that away
bastard.
from him. And then I plated my food like his food. So I knew like I used the big wood plank. I was like, if I was in Vegas at Mesa Grill,
Mm-hmm.
like it would look like this. So I intentionally plated like he plated and I walked away with a unanimous decision, which was really cool. They were convinced my food was his. They
Yep.
told me afterwards. And yeah, man, I wolfed that trick. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
That's
Did you feel like okay, I assume you make it. I couldn't be more outside the food business or like whatever restaurant stuff. So forgive me if this is dumb. But I assume you make it, you have a couple of people sample it, try to get a feel for if it's as good as you think it is. Is that true? Or you
What
just
what
know?
what I did is because it's such a like I made it in the restaurant and I let my team taste it and my sous chef and they were like, yeah, it's good, it's really good chef. But then I started like bouncing around kitchens in my city and had them give me just kind of my ingredients and pull it off in their kitchen because I
mm-hmm.
needed to work in an environment I didn't know.
That you're not familiar with, yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
started I started kind of like just but my background is competitive cooking. Like I started competitive cooking when I was 15 and I was on a circuit, a high school circuit. And that's how I actually got my scholarship money to go to college. And then when I went to college, I was on a college circuit. So I competed all across the country on a student team competition team, doing nationals and regionals and all those things. So like competitive cooking is like my background, and the amount of planning and preparation my mind goes through, it just it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked in there with such a strong game plan. I knew all I had to do was execute.
That's fucking fascinating to me, actually. How did Bobby Flay react when you won? Because he doesn't get
I
beat
mean, he was
often,
cool.
right?
He
I'm,
gets
I'm a lot bigger than him,
yeah,
so
no, he's way bigger than Bobby. Bobby's a little dude.
I mean, did he look pissy
No,
or
no,
is he
so
no,
happy with it? He doesn't.
here's the thing
he
with
was he was cool, but like he messed up his own stuff.
yeah.
He got carried away with the chilies, and his shit was too hot, and that's really what did him in. Like it's not like he did a bad dish. He got heavy handed.
He did so my guy Robbie Jester, he beat Bobby too. Also and it's for the same reasons. So he went like, okay, what will Bobby do? And because you're trying to fool the judges, you're not trying to fool, you just want them to think that okay, this is Bobby's dish. And yeah, beat him in his own game.
That shit makes me
But
feel
I
like an
also knew
idiot
I
to
had
not think
another
that. I'd
little
never think
thing
of
that
that.
I caught while because you're in the same kitchen studio and you're crossing a lot
Mhm.
with stations because we have to use pantries and equipment. So you're constantly crossing each other. So every time I would catch him out the corner of my eye, getting ready to bounce off his station or run to grab something, I would step in his path. and he got flustered about it because I kept doing it. Because I'm a lot bigger than
Yeah.
him. He ain't gonna run through me.
Right.
So it would throw him off, and I could tell.
Oh, you got him off his game. Yeah.
So then he started running his mouth, and I started running my mouth. And it was funny because my wife was in the stands, and she from up in the stands, she's like, "Brother, stop it!"
Yeah.
We kitchen talk.
Yeah.
And it just, you realize, oh shit, I am on TV. I should shut up.
Y'all know it takes a special track to do this. I'm on my P's and Q's, dripping sauce. It's just the fluid, it's the chef. I'm here to remind y'all I'm sick with it. My name is stuff that's hot, it's ubiquitous. Meaning it's one and the same, simple and plain. I'm all about my paper, the bacon, cheddar, and pain. I got these lanes running for the border. The talented Mr. Porter, keep it flowing like it's water. But here we go, there we go, creeping to a low speed. Is it him and his friend sitting in the nosebleeds? Play it cool, he ain't special just cause he's on TV. Everybody's hands up, acting like they know we.
Welcome to another episode of the Taste Music Here Food Podcast Show, the destination for all things food, music, and culture related and how they connect. Today, I have an amazing guest, someone who is super duper inspirational to me and anybody who's been in the industry. Just an all-around good dude. So I'm going to do him justice with a proper intro to give him his flowers. So today's guest is more than a chef. He's a storyteller, a survivor, and a symphony of grit and grace in the kitchen. He found his voice through food, not just to feed others, but to heal himself. You've seen him command the screen on Top Chef, Chopped, and Beat Bobby Flay. But behind the TV fame is a man who's cooked through trauma, plated up purpose, and built a legacy one dish at a time. He's the owner of the critically acclaimed 4 by Brother Luck in Colorado Springs, a mental health advocate, and the author of his memoir, No Luck's Given. From Southern roots to West Coast hustle, he's seasoning every plate with authenticity. Welcome to the table, Chef Brother Luck.
Hey. Man, Sway, Nori, y'all better watch out. This man got the intro game on lock.
Listen, bro. I'm gonna tell you like this. So I spend an exuberant amount of time putting together the intros because, like I always say, I cherry pick my guests. So there's nobody that I have on this show that I wouldn't want to break bread with, or have a drink with, or just be in communion with. So I have a great reverence for people that are on this show, and that the only way I can pay my respect is by doing my due diligence and coming correct, man. So it's an honor to have you here, dude. Honestly,
man, I appreciate the love. That was dope.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I feel like I'm like hella important now.
No, you are hella important. And here's the thing. So that's recorded right now. So that, like, you can play that whenever intro you need, wherever you walk into a door, a threshold. You can have that at your beck and call for sure.
Hey, I'm gonna get the boom box. Like, I'm gonna get you sucked.
Yeah.
Like every superhero needs a
love and hate,
song,
baby. Absolutely. I think that's one of the movies on this VHS show that's crazy. All right, let's, a lot of people know you from TV. And I always say, as somebody who's also been on TV, it's the gift and the curse, right? Because it's sort of like Black history started with slavery. It's the same thing. Like, there's so much more to you as an individual, as a chef, how you became the chef you are, and the person that goes into all of those things. Give us a little background on how you came to pass to be the man you are today, the chef you are today, the advocate you are today.
I've been able to experience life, and I'm an observer. I like to watch, and my story is watching and surviving. So being raised in the Bay Area, coming up in the Southwest in Phoenix, Arizona, and then being able to travel around the world, I've really just kind of always picked up game. And I think that foundation of understanding that people have the ability to give you knowledge, and if you catch what they're serving, like, you're gonna walk away with a full plate. So for me, that was always a focal point. Was, my life is a Donald Goines book, man.
That's real. That's real.
It's a trip, and I'm just very blessed to be here. But every day is a new page, and you got to write a new story. And I love putting pen to paper.
Yeah, you hit on a couple of very key points, and I think that most people don't really take this into consideration. Like, we very rarely are we a monolithic people, right? Right. So we're multifaceted in ways, and complicated and flawed, right? And it's those flaws. Like, my grandfather used to always say this to me, but I had family members that talked to me like I was a 30-year-old man when I was 7. So, like, the shit hit me like years later. Like, it's a grenade. It's a knowledge grenade. So he would say stuff like, "It's not what you go through, it's how you come out of it." And like, everybody, prepare to fail. You are going to deal with adversity. And we in this industry, we deal with adversity on a daily basis, and are somewhat masochists in that realm to deal with those things and still have the stick with itness to push forward and try to reach goals that are not sometimes easily seen by the average person. But your story is one of those of it's not what you go through, it's how you come out of it. For real, that is that could be the subtitle to No Luck's Given. For sure. All right, so really quick, I like to jump into a quick little game called One Gotta Go. Really quick, I'm gonna give you 3 options. You're just gonna give me one of the 3 that is off the list. It's the ixnay of the 3 of the bunch. Okay. Here's the 3 options: butter, garlic, or olive oil. One gotta go.
Olive oil.
Olive oil. Now, why?
Yeah, I'm not giving up the butter, man.
Never giving up a butter. Never.
That's bad.
Never.
If I could sub the butter for pig lard, I'd do that.
Listen, when in doubt, a duck fat goes a long way.
Creole, so we need fat in our life.
You gotta have it. You gotta have
healthy stuff.
Yeah. Great answer. I
love olive oil, but
yeah,
it's garlic is garlic.
Garlic, you gotta have garlic. And as far as fats go, it's an inferior to butter. I would choose butter too. Anybody ever try to put olive oil on toast? I don't. I mean, croutons. Yes. Yeah.
It just ain't butter. And my family's Creole, so like we always talk about the Trinity down there. It's like our base foundation for most cooking and seasoning. But the garlic is the Pope, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sneak them in there.
Yeah. So this show, this platform, in my humble opinion, the reason why this whole thing exists is because I'm a chef that got into food to pay for studio time, and my approach to food has always been through the lens of not only a culinary artist but as a musician. And I always thought I was an alien. I would never even tell anybody. So how I used to memorize recipes, where I would make songs out of it, right? And then when I realized that there's so many different through lines between the building blocks of a properly constructed recipe and a properly constructed song. I also know that you're deeply rooted in music as well. Speak to me a little bit about, the importance of music in how you process food and your deep connection with it, and how the emotions and memories of, and you just posted something today that in your reels that I was as I was actually driving to the studio, you were showing albums, and I have a deep rooted history with vinyl. Like I literally can chronologize my life on record covers. Like, I remember vividly, I would stare at album covers for hours and then read the inserts. And I was amazed on how, as a 6-year-old kid, how are you getting all of this music on this piece of plastic? It just baffled me forever. So speak to me about the importance of music, memories, your philosophy, and how it all ties to emotions.
Yeah, I think when you come, especially from a Black household, you're raised on music. You're raised on soul. You're raised on jazz. You're raised on funk, and that's what's playing in the house. That, like, when you get y'all get out of the kitchen, we play cards kind of conversation, or they out there, getting it in the backyard doing electric slide. Like, everything is based around music. So the memory is rooted there, right? There's a connection to our soul of that beat of a drum. And I think that's kind of where it begins. But for me, it transitions to there's an escape from reality through my headphones. And I was able to escape and learn from so many different musicians and, mainly hip hop artists at that time in my life. But, listening to Me Against the World made me get my first fight. I heard that verse where he was like, he was like, a coward dies 1,000 deaths, but a soldier dies but once.
But
And I was
once.
like, man, we fight.
We fight today. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the escape from reality, I love seeing a lot of hip hop icons who I grew up on, especially in the Bay, who are foodies. Like, E40 is a huge foodie, and Mac Mall is a huge foodie. I love seeing these guys who I was raised on as a hip hop Bay Area kid, being in that world, and the game they blessed us with. It just they were phenomenal storytellers, and the lessons you learned, you immediately got to apply as you saw things in your neighborhoods, you saw things in the streets, and it's surreal how it just kind of continued for me, because then it became more about what was coming out of London. So a lot of drum and bass, a lot of jungle, to where I was like, what's that? Like, there was something that just tapped my soul, and what I was hearing that in a sound, and, hearing the history of house music in Chicago and Detroit and New York. And you realize it's actually a Black culture thing. Like, we created this, and that's just so powerful, to where all these years later, as I spin music and I listen to vinyl, it's a connection.
Yeah. Speaking of that,
so I definitely enjoy it.
Speaking of that, Gabe, play the track. There's even that's a connection. So I lived in the Bay for 11 years. So I left Minneapolis in 2003 to go to the Bay, and loved the Bay. I would say, as a Bronx boy, the Bay feels a lot like, well, let me not say that, because there's different parts of the Bay feel differently, right? So yeah. We can't do that. Yeah, they're all different. Yeah, exactly. So I know people compare San Francisco to Manhattan all the time. I don't do. I think they're two completely separate beasts. But I will say that Oakland, to me, and the pride of Oakland, and the history of Oakland, people carry that like people from Brooklyn. Like, there's no the pride of, when you talk to somebody from Brooklyn, when they don't say that I'm from New York, I'm from Brooklyn. Same thing with Oakland.
Yeah.
Oakland is a very prideful, and rightfully so, place. And then as far as hip hop goes, to me, in my humble opinion, hip hop is the most diverse, most inclusive genre of music that probably will ever be. And the reason why I say that is there are through lines in DNA of every other genre of music, from classical music to traditional Indian to jazz, funk, EDM, you name it. It was all in there. And this is the through lines I like to use as far as food is concerned, because I believe that music and food are two of the most powerful forces on the planet. You'll be hard pressed to find a hip hop enthusiast that has biases to certain cultures, because there's already a reverence for the art and for the music. So you cannot separate the art from the artist. And so I think the only time where the most racist person is not thinking about segregation is when it comes to his stomach. Now, if he took and had put a face to the culture of that dish, it'd be hard to have those biases, because now you have a reverence for that person. And so I believe, in my humble opinion, the vehicles that is going to break down the barriers for all of this crap is going to be food and music. And it's also and you travel like a lot, like I travel. It's the fastest way to immerse yourself in any culture is to go anywhere and eat the food and listen to the music. And
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
And
It's a connection.
absolutely.
We all bond over it. We all know it. And I think any art has the ability to invoke emotion. Like it can stir something in you internally. And when that happens and you have a response based on what you're experiencing, whether that's a painting, that's a piece of music, that's a dish someone's created, that to me, that's what art is. And I think that's why they're all so parallel, is because they do stir something in you internally that, it triggers.
Yeah. And it's the one thing you can't fake. You can't fake emotion. Like it's that is one of those things that you cannot manufacture. And we talked about your culture, and speak to me how your Creole and Cajun influences, and then being extensively well traveled, Japan and in these places. How have you put those things into what it is you do on a daily basis? I know for me, my approach, and I say this all the time, I was hip hop raised me. Kitchens and hip hop raised me. So my approach to food is very hip hop. I sample a lot. And I take the things that I love most based on knowledge. You have to have the reverence and based on the knowledge first to know, how to apply them. But speak to me how your travels, your ancestry, and just the knowledge of knowing who you are, how you make its way into what it is you do and how you do it.
Yeah, I think that the discovery of who you are is something that takes time, because at least in my case, being biracial, being mixed, growing up and losing my father at such a young age and not having that presence, and then not having that close relationship with my mother and being separated from a lot of our family, I didn't know. I just, I'm my family's Cajun and Creole, and they got all these Louisiana roots, but I'm in the Bay, which is extremely diverse.
Right.
And living in, Chinatown. So I think, that's like a different mindset in itself. And then, for me, I moved to Phoenix, Arizona as I get into being a teenager. And when I got to Phoenix, Arizona, I got immersed in the world out here, which is very, very Hispanic, Black, and it's hot. It's very Southwest.
Yeah.
And I Phoenix is very special to me. It's definitely my second home. But being out here for so long, I really picked up like my cooking out here.
Mm-hmm.
So my cooking is rooted here in the desert. And I go through my journey of, culinary school out here and kind of working in resorts and hotels and restaurants. And then I start traveling around and kind of figuring out where I want to be. And I'm trying to discover my story, which is what I'm chasing. So, I go to Japan because my parents were both exotic dancers, and they danced in Japan, and they always talked about it when I was a young kid.
That is,
I know. That's,
okay. So
I know.
we're not going to just glaze over that. So
I told you, bro.
That's not something that you just say in passing. My parents were both exotic dancers.
Yeah, I tell you,
that's a hell of a shift. That's a hell of a shift.
Somewhere on my Instagram is my daddy in like 1979 with a turban on. And his show line says Mandingo. Like,
no said. No said.
You can't knock the hustle. So, yeah, man. I chased Japan, and it's so funny because I end up in Japan. My first night, I ended up going on a scholarship experience, like a exchange program with Korin and the Gohan Society out of New York. So
where would you
travel with it?
Where in Japan did you go?
We started in Kanazawa, and then we worked our way back to Tokyo. And I went with like the chef from Boulé, the chef from Untitled at the time, the chef from Le Bernardin. Like there was 4 of us who all went. So, and it's cool because, Susie Cups is in New York.
Yep.
She's killing it right now. She was with me on that trip. Sarah Woodward was with us. She's at La Bernardin. She runs, their banquet team. And we just had an amazing experience. And the first night we're there, we're at this traditional Japanese ryokan, this amazing hotel. And we have this amazing kaiseki meal. And then we go to the parlor and we have some whiskey. And then they're like, let's go to the onsen. And I'm like, okay, what's the onsen? So the guys go to the guy side of the onsen. The ladies go to the ladies' side. They're separate. And essentially it's a hot spring. And the custom, everybody just starts getting naked. So like all the dudes start stripping down that we're with, and they get butt naked, and they put a towel on their head and go rinse off, and they're like, come on. So, my first night in Japan, I'm butt naked with a bunch of dudes. And I'm like, I'm definitely probably walking in my father's footsteps right now.
Yeah, that's Mandingo habitry right there. Yeah, that's for sure.
So, it was just, I was chasing my story as I travel and as I work. And it wasn't until recently that I've really kind of come to grip, because when I think about how my food style is, it's got the heritage of Cajun Creole. It's got being raised in the Bay Area and having a lot of Japanese and Chinese influence in my life, and where we grew up out there. But then my whole career is really heavy in the Southwest. So, as I kind of was trying to explore and say what I want, especially when I was on Top Chef, I didn't know what I wanted to say. I didn't have a voice. I remember the first challenge, they were like, cook a signature dish. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna cook this like carne asada kind of dish. And then I looked at like Claudette, who is this badass Mexican chef, and she's cooking carne asada and she's cooking it like authentic. And I felt like I'm not allowed to cook this, because I'm not Latino, but my whole story's rooted here, and I couldn't express myself. Like even I was doing a dinner with Katsuji, and he's like, "How come you don't cook like this on the show?" I was like, "I don't know, I don't think about it like that."
Right.
So recently, I really just kind of understood, like everything clicked.
Yeah.
And for me, especially being in Colorado, I've always tried to figure out what I'm trying to say. And a lot of my style is telling the story of the Four Corners. And I think that's a unique story to tell, because that's my story of being in the Four Corners. And essentially, it's a story of altitude. I'm on the top of the mountain where the water begins. And as the water trickles down and gets to the desert, the food changes. And that is a big part of my story is living in the top of the Rockies and coming down to the desert, and the cultures of those people that have influenced it and shaped it. And, that is the style of food that I like to cook, with the connection of, my family being from the South and being able to incorporate all the things that have been brought to this country from, that culture. I think there's a lot more clarity in my cooking right now, because I'm finally coming to terms with like who I am as a person.
Right. And that's you hit on probably one of the key aspects that is most chefs, most cooks, most young culinarians, even seasoned culinarians, takes them decades to arrive at. It's the difference between following a recipe and writing a recipe. And stylistically is a whole different thing. So when you have a voice, it's the same thing with any artist. I don't care if it's music or if it's food. 9 times first, so we all start in this industry is imitation, right? We're doing what we saw being done, and then we learn the reasons why and how to manipulate those things. And then once you have a baseline, now you get into storytelling, which is what this is all about. And if you don't have, you can't fake it. If you don't have a genuine story that people can connect with through emotion, then it's just food, right? And at that, and usually it's not even executed properly because there's not a reverence and a deep-rooted connection with the items and then the final storyline. And I believe the reason why and it just clicks like that. It happens for me and it's not something that you can chase it forever. But if you don't live enough life, you'll never be able to tell. You won't be able to write that book if you don't live enough life. The chapters will be incomplete. And so it's the same.
Can you imagine what Biggie and Pac would be writing today?
Oh my goodness.
You know, like it would be a completely different story than what it was when they were 25.
Yep, 25 and 26. Like, insane.
My food at 25 versus my food in my mid 40s are two different stories.
Absolutely.
Completely stories. But the biggest difference is my job is to not fuck up what the farmer did. Like
that's the so look
simple.
That like, is the that's us, that's the also the baseline. So there should be a reverence for the raw ingredient, right? And then all we're doing is trying to enhance or highlight what God created. Simply. And
now and I'm gonna hit you with this one too, because since you are a music person, you get this reference. As a DJ, the beauty and the connection of that is it's the same thing with music. The producer is creating, and the DJ is just taking that raw material and putting some personality and some seasoning and putting some storytelling to entertain a crowd with. It's the same thing. So when we cook, I think of my farmers almost as if I listen to a track and think of a producer. Mm-hmm. So I have that same mentality all the way through, whether it's music or it's food.
Yeah, the producer versus the curator. So the DJ is just curating the ambiance of the evening. With
I didn't raise that pig.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't grow those vegetables.
Absolutely.
But I can season the hell out of them and I can show them respect.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to tweak it. Like I was at a wine dinner on Tuesday night, and it was this small farm here in Arizona, at my friend Mark Tarbell's restaurant. He invited me down, and he's like, "Hey, I know you're here solo. I'm gonna sit you with the farmer family." And they weren't a big farm. They raised Wagyu beef, and I love sitting with 3 generations of farmer at this table, and in this tight family, and watching them see what a chef could do with their product.
Yeah.
Because they've never had their beef served to them like that.
Right.
You know, like they had this lengua cacio pepe that was dope. And the tongue was braised so slow and tender, and the gnocchi was money, and the cheese sauce was right with the demi. And it was like, it blew their minds. You know, they're eating smoked beef carpaccio. Like it was so cool to see the appreciation for what we do from their side, because you know, and they're so humble about what they do because we're farmers.
Right. That's the equivalent of that would be you know, you see the award shows when they do tribute performances for artists and they're doing their songs and renditions of them. That's the closest. It's the same equivalent type of experience, and I think there's no greater reverence. I meant to do this before. I got to send you the link to my film, The Food That Fuels, because it's all, and I did this in the San Joaquin Valley. So it's all about, you know, the breadbasket of the country. And, but yeah, great reverence for it. So speak to me about, you know, you've been on TV a bunch of times, right? You've Top Chef and Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay. By the way, I need that recipe for the sliders. What did you learn about yourself from competing? Because and we talked about this off camera, but the entertainment food world and the actual restaurant food world are two different complete universes. There's something that you go through internally when you go through you're put under pressure in those types of situations, and you either learn something about yourself one way or another. What did you learn about Brother Luck by competing in those manners that many times that stuck with you today?
What I walked away with doing television was I learned that I was chasing validation. I was looking for these TV shows and these accolades to tell me that I was a good chef, because I was so insecure with myself from, my whole childhood, I was so insecure with myself. I was looking for a show and an accolade to actually validate my skill set that I've worked extremely hard to learn. Like my trade is easily those 10,000 hours. So I was thinking like these shows were going to do that. And it broke me. It broke me mentally. I wasn't prepared for that piece of it. I think when you put yourself out there, it's good. I think competition is great, and it's going to challenge you, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself being put against, especially other competitors who are just as good as you, if not better. But at the end of the day, I thought that I was lucky to be on these shows, and I was so grateful to have the opportunity to be on these shows. When I look back at it, I go, they were lucky to have me on the show to experience me as a person, because I gave them my story, I gave them my skill, I gave them a piece of me, and allowed them to put that out there. So I think to any young chef who is trying to get on television or think that's going to make them great, you're already great, man. You're a one of a kind recipe, and you've got to embrace that.
Absolutely. And something I told all the cats. So I've always been the younger guy in the kitchen. So when I did pressure cooker, I was the elder statesman. It completely flipped, right? And so what I told them, because I felt a sense of responsibility for that. What I told everybody on the show, like, listen, before we filmed, a second of it, everybody that's here, you've already won. Do you know how many people that we went through to get 11? There's, there's the only way to screw this up is to do something that would completely tarnish your personal brand. If you are your 100% authentic self, you won. This is the most expensive commercial you will never, ever be able to afford. So just do you, and you won. We already won.
And those opportunities that we have as people that have experience and age, right? We've made mistakes. We've gone through a lot of stuff. We're able to share a lot of that. That is so valuable to those younger people, even if they don't hear it. Like, one of my really good friends is Chris Scott, and I love Chris Scott Jeff. I think he's one of the most amazing chefs and people on this earth. And if you haven't put him on the show, you should. Y'all are both in New York. Like, you both got that connection, right? That man he gets it. He is a storyteller. Like, I want him to narrate my story, not Morgan Freeman. But Chris was the older dude on our season, and we were roommates most of it, and I would just peep game of, like, he would sit in his bunk and he would write letters, like actual letters, and I was like, dude, who does this? And then he would talk about his sobriety and how he didn't drink, and I just couldn't understand that. And here we are, I don't know, it's 7-8 years later, I'm sober, right? And he set an example for me that I couldn't understand at that time. But 8 years later, I'm preaching that same story that he kind of helped me with, even though I didn't realize he was helping me with. Absolutely. He gave me a lot of lessons about just the game in general, and about, how we travel through our journeys and become chefs and achieve all these great things, but feel like we still don't deserve it. Or we're not being respected and getting the opportunities that we should be getting. Right. And I love when we have the opportunity to kind of share that game with the younger generation, because I've had so many people do that for me over the years, and I know you have as well.
Absolutely. And you hit on
we were talking about Marcus.
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's a perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect person.
Listen, I say this a lot. I've been blessed with some amazing humans that were put in my path that, had it not been for them, I wouldn't be sitting here. Like, completely. Marcus being one of them, Alexander Smalls being another. I got to sit with the illustrious Patrick Clark before he passed. I didn't know how big of a deal all these things were then, but I do now. You touched on something, and it's a great segue into speaking about your memoir. So, No Lux Given. So it takes a complete act of bravery and courage to be able to be as forthcoming and vulnerable as you have been about overcoming personal challenges in your life. And what motivated you to be that, to use your platform, and which is every day every day that you're basically shedding light that, listen, everybody goes through something. Everybody goes through
Yeah.
things. And this is my story. This is what I went through. And, you too can persevere. What motivated you to be so openly honest and 100% authentic about your experience with people? And what do you hope that people will take from that?
I realized I was fronting. Like, I realized that I was extremely depressed and I was very insecure and I had a lot of anxiety about it. But I portrayed to the world that I was in charge and I was cocky and I was confident. And when I broke in silence, I couldn't control that no more. I didn't want to control that and I needed help. And it led me to therapy. It led me to finding resources and tools out there to better understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling, because I didn't understand. I didn't get it. I didn't know what was going on with me. And to be, having attempts of suicide and just lost in everything that I could possibly numb myself with. Like that wasn't an okay place to be. As I started sharing with people that were in my inner circle, I realized I wasn't alone. And it made me, I found comfort in that. I found comfort that I could actually talk about something that I would never talk about out loud because I didn't want to be judged or people would think I'm crazy. And when I started hearing other people felt that way too, it gave me some like comfort big time. So it led me to starting to talk about this more in our industry and on my platform, because I feel like social media is so fake. Like,
yeah, it's super.
You ain't that happy. Your life's not that cool. You ain't really doing all that stuff. Like,
it's a highlight reel. It's a literal.
Yeah,
it's a virtual
reel.
highlight
it's a snapshot.
reel.
It's your greatest hits.
Yep.
Every day, it's your greatest hits.
Yep.
And I got tired of doing that. So when I came off the shows, everybody was doing cookbooks. Every chef was doing a cookbook. And I've always been against the grain. I'm not going to do, if you going left, I'm definitely going right. Like, I'm not walking that way. I'm just not.
Right.
That's not how I'm built. So I was like, I want to write a book about something more real. And I wrote the first chapter about my father passing away. And when I gave it to my wife, she read it. She just started crying. She was like, did it really happen like that? I was like, yeah. She goes, you should write this. So I lied to myself for 3 years that I was writing a book. Just couldn't put nothing down. And then, God just put everything in motion right around the pandemic, and the shutdown gave me the time. And I couldn't get a deal for it. Like, I was shopping it to people and they weren't feeling it. They want a cookbook. You're a chef. And I was like, no, I want to talk about suicide and God and, mentorship. That's not what they wanted. So I self-published it, and I was able to figure out how the book industry worked. I was able to figure out how to put a product together, how to get a product to market, how to start selling. I mean, obviously, I'm sharing a little bit about my background and what I did before I cooked.
Absolutely.
Still a corner kid.
Yeah,
it's a different kind of corner.
Yeah,
my restaurant's on a corner now.
A whole different corner.
Whole different corner. Different muscle.
Yeah.
I figured out how to get my product out and start to move it. And it's been amazing, because what that's done is that's allowed me to get on stage. That's allowed me to talk to organizations, businesses, nonprofits, schools. I've had the pleasure of starting to coach and mentor and consult that is far beyond just cooking. Now we're talking about you as a person. We're talking about development. We're talking about branding. We're talking about insecurities.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about so much more now. And it's because that book happened. So I'm so grateful for that book, because I see the next 25 years of my career in a completely different light than I did when I was on a show like Top Chef or Beat Bobby Flay.
Yeah. You basically put on a platter to the world your whole true self, right? And so there's a freedom in honesty that there's a light that you have, seriously, and that's just comes from being free and
Yeah.
100% honest about who you were, who you are, and who you want to be, and everything in between, the good, bad, and the ugly, right? And in those things, what you like you said, what we notice a lot of times when we have these conversations is that everybody has fucking insecurities, bro. Like it's not a soul walking around that's 100%, think they got it together,
Yeah.
and the fact is, it's okay to not be okay, and
Dude. So much. And there's, when it comes to insecurity, there's power in claiming your presence.
Mhm.
And when you can claim your presence in any room and not be worried about what someone else thinks or what someone else is looking for, because you're comfortable with you. Like, I'm the coolest person I know. And I like that person now. I like that person's hella cool. Like, I'm rocking with you. I want to, man, like, this is my dude. Like, I am so good with the mirror now.
Right.
And that, there's so much power in that. I think people need more of that message, is stop chasing this validation from these people that you're seeing on social media, you're seeing on these TV shows. You've got to start with the mirror.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Cat Williams said it, man. You can't seek outside influence for self-confidence. Like, it's an impossibility. And you spoke about this too. So beyond the restaurants, beyond everything else that you've got going on, the TV appearances, you're an active mentor, to kids, youth, or whomever might need it, and an advocate for mental health and awareness. And more so, more than any other industry that I know of, the service industry is littered with, tons and tons of untalked about cases of abuse, and whether that be substance or physical abuse to self, because it's a very demanding industry. It's a very unforgiving industry. It's also a very much a hush hush culture. So it's also, you've been told, just put your head down and push through. And it's one of those industries that no matter what height you're at, and we've seen this with people who you think, outside looking in have it all. And they're in a very dark place enough to do, self-harm and all kinds of different things. What impact do you hope to, because we're talking about legacy now, what impact do you hope to have in not only in the culinary community, but beyond that? Because as you said, this is bigger than food, right? What putting that book out expanded, it made you human, right? And then it also puts you into the pantheon of people that are willing to share their story to help others with their struggles. So how do you hope, and what do you want your lasting legacy to be when it's all said and done?
I hope that my courage and my vulnerability that I put out there on a regular basis, and trust me, is hella uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to do every time. Every time I get in front of a camera and talk about it, every time I get on a stage, it's uncomfortable. But I hope that it gives someone else the courage to find the help that they need, or be confident to say, I'm not alone in my struggle, or I'm not crazy. I can talk about it. There's so much shame that we have in looking weak. And man, I'm 6'2", 230. Like, I'm not weak. I talk about my emotions all the time. I cry. Thugs cry.
Yep.
It's okay to cry, man. Like, get it out. Say what you gotta say.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to live this lifestyle. Like, you gotta be hard. But I think especially for those of us who grow up in an environment where you constantly have somebody trying to take what you got because they don't have it, and you're on a defense, you're on a survival mindset, you know, you develop a mean mug, you develop a hardness, you develop an edge, because that's how you protect yourself.
Absolutely.
And sadly, the world is not the best place when you hold all that in for years and years and years. You know, all that trauma, all that violence, all that struggle, man, you need a circle around you. You need people with you. That's why I don't, you know, when I walk, especially when I walk in these chef rooms, I don't care if we friends or not. Like, I'm not here to make friends with y'all and be part of the clique. I got my circle. I've got my 12. Right? Jesus had 12. I got 12. And I've got my circle. I'm good. Like, I don't need nothing.
Right.
If we click and we have a great conversation and you seem like a cool person and I'm a cool person to you, and we gonna vibe and that's it.
Right.
I don't need nothing though. And I like being in that kind of mindset when I walk into a lot of those rooms, because I used to be in awe of some of these people, you know, scared to talk, sitting in some of those rooms where you're like, oh my God, that's Daniel Blue.
Right.
Yeah. Like, he another dude too, man.
Yeah. Yeah. With insecurities.
Yeah.
And,
like, he's hella nice. He's super nice. Like, I always appreciate Chef every time I get the opportunity to talk to him. But it's just one of those, like, I'm good with me. And I hope that is the message that I give to other people, is find the confidence in the mirror and learn to appreciate the one-of-a-kind recipe that you are. You are the special seasoning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I let you go, we got to do this quick lightning round. So I'm gonna ramble off a quick round of, I'm gonna ask you a series of rapid fire questions. The first thing that pops to your head, and which I know you're gonna do anyway, but just shoot it out. All right. So, favorite comfort food?
Gumbo.
Gumbo. Any specific gumbo? Seafood gumbo? Chicken gumbo?
Momo's gumbo. It's whatever she got.
Gumbo is one of those things that, depending on whose house she goes to, so my wife's family.
Is there Aunt Dewey? Like,
yeah, my wife's family is from Louisiana, and she does something. They do something as a family with gumbo that I've never seen. So there's beef. They put beef in it as well. So chicken wings, beef, sausage, of course, and then all your crab and your shrimp and all those other usual suspects. But it's and they're making the roux with bacon fat, which you know. But everybody has their thing.
That, man.
Everybody has their thing.
Right? You just smell the Crisco jar in the sink. Make sure it's not the shrimp one.
Yeah. Because if I partake in that shrimp one, it's nighty night. Yeah, I got a serious allergy. It'd be the last gumbo. Go-to kitchen gadget.
Microplaner.
Me too. So underutilized.
I love that thing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite tool.
Yeah, by far. Most underrated ingredient.
Ooh, most underrated ingredient. I would say, that's a tough one. Cumin. That's a tough one.
Mine is thyme.
I love cumin. A lot of mine is cumin. I will put cumin in everything.
Yeah, mine's thyme.
Yeah, definitely underrated. Yeah, I think tomatoes.
Tomatoes, yeah. No, not thyme to spice. Thyme is in TikTok. Thyme is nothing good comes without thyme.
Yeah.
If you weren't a chef, what would you be?
I'd be in marketing.
Are you doing it now?
I know how to promote. I'm digitally. I find so much joy in that world of being able to take a product and take it to market and get people excited about it and promote it and find unique, creative ways to guerrilla it. I like thinking outside the box, but I think a lot of that comes from like flyering cars as a kid, right?
Absolutely.
Go get this party lit, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, 60 flyers.
Absolutely. one word of advice to give your younger self.
You're good enough.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And finally, dream dinner guest.
Dream dinner guest. My father.
Wow.
Love to cook for him.
Yeah, that's how I feel about my grandmother, for sure. For sure. Well, listen, this has been an amazing, it's been amazing talking to you. It's been an amazing revelation for me just to hear more of your story. Of course, I've done my deep dives, and it's you got one of those personalities that makes people feel like they know you without knowing you. And so I just have to thank you for sharing more of your story and your time, of course, with myself and everybody listening. Please tell everyone where they can follow you, find all the happenings that's going on, your newest and latest things that you got, because you're doing so much all the time, and specifically where they can get and read your book.
Yeah, man, you can get me. You get at me across the board at Chef for the Luck, every platform. Website cheffortheluck.com. That's where you can check out the book. The book's on Audible. It's on Spotify. If you're a premium member, it's free, so you can just download it right there. Man, if you see me in the street, say what's up. Like I'm always gonna be open. I'm always approachable. Don't think I'm too good. Like I will always stop and say hello. So, man, rock with me.
Yeah.
Like let's have a conversation. See what we can create.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For anybody else, I urge you to get a copy of this book, because whether you're in the industry or not, this is not an industry book. This is a human book. And it's a book that I feel anybody that is going through something or knows someone that has gone through something, this is one of those books that it's a testament of, it's not what you go through, it's how you come out of it. And that is definitely the theme of it. Please check my guy out, Brother Luck, on all Chef Brother Luck on all platforms, including the website. If you have found any interest or found some reverence for the conversations that we had today, please follow, like, and subscribe. This has been the Taste Music Hear Food podcast show, the home of all things food, music, and culture, and how they connect. Until next time, take care.
You know what we're doing. Y'all know it takes a special track to do this.
Thanks,
My
bro.
mama P's and Q's, drip the sauce. It's just the fluid, it's the chef. I'm here to remind.
MBC. No relation to NBC.